Hello folks, Reginald Scott here. How are you all doing? So I don't usually do blogs. I'm not really a blogger, but I thought I'd blog today. So I'm out basically looking for new routes for my Sunday ride. And nice scenery, right? Pretty. And I like to take people to new places. And one of the things that I hear a lot from Bruneians when I go out on my Sunday rides is, I've never been here before. I know Bruneians who've been in the country their entire lives, and I've taken them places they've never been. And just checking for large ants, because I think one was crawling up my leg a minute ago. So that's what I try and do. I try and find those secluded and weird places that, most Bruneians didn't even know about. I remember when I came to Brunei, I was jobless, and I spent the first few weeks just sort of cycling around, doing my own thing. I was swatting the mosquitoes. And I ended up finding some really weird stuff. Like I found a scrapyard, and in the scrapyard there was an old steam locomotive, like a traction engine, an American one, and I took a photograph of it. And then I found half an aircraft, like sliced in half, and I took a photograph of that. And then I went down to the beach and I found a live Indonesian elephant at the beach. It's an elephant that was actually given to His Majesty, the Sultan of Brunei, as a gift from Indonesia years ago. And it's just there at the beach in this little fenced off area. And I found it, took a picture of it, and I posted it on Instagram. And so many Bruneians were like, where are you? Or where the hell is that? And I'm like, it's in Brunei. Have you never been here? And they're like, no, where? So every time I meet a Bruneian now, not every time, but a lot of the time, certainly for the first few years I was in Brunei, one of the first questions I would ask people is, do you know where the elephant is? And it's amazing the number of people in Brunei who've lived here their entire life and didn't know that Brunei has an Indonesian elephant as a gift, just down at the beach. So yeah, it's random. So I like to bring people to random places. I like to open their eyes to new stuff, and I love to explore. That for me, cycling, a big part of it is freedom and exploration. I love the freedom feeling. More ants. I love the freedom feeling of cycling and exploring new places. But this has led me to get quite frustrated. Now I've got I would say about 6 different routes that I've planned out for my Sunday rides now. These steps are a little bit sketchy, so bear with me. About 6 routes I've planned out now for my Sunday ride. And they're really unusual. Like I kind of take people a little bit off-road, a little bit of gravel on their road bikes. Nothing too extreme that you can't manage, or that you can't manage even with a modicum of skill. But just those back roads that people never go down. And I've shown people some really interesting stuff. And I've seen some amazing stuff as well, exploring to make these rides, right? So my aim with these rides is to make them fun, make them adventurous, and kind of make them a little bit unusual. But it's led to some levels of frustration. I'll just show you this down here because I'm heading that way in a moment. That's the bridge I came across. More about the bridge later. It's a bit of an Indiana Jones moment, that one. And here behind me is some kind of mausoleum or memorial to His Majesty Sultan Bolkiah Kamaluddin or Saifuddin. It's either Saifuddin or Kamaluddin, something like that. I'll post it below. Apologies to Bruneians for mispronouncing and or misnamering your past majesty. Ouch. What the heck is that? That's a big bug that was biting my leg. Ouch. Anyway, so I don't know what that was. It was pretty big though. Anyway, so here's the story. I get frustrated because Brunei is a bit of a weird place. People don't really explore here, at all. And people don't go new places. They only go to where they know. And unless there's a shopping centre at the end of the road, they don't go there. This is a gross generalisation. but it rings true. And if you're Brunei, you're probably thinking your first impulse is going to be, what's he talking about? And your second impulse is going to be, oh yeah, that's true. We don't go anywhere unless there's a shopping centre. Like, I was talking to some of my family members on my wife's side, and when I first came to Brunei, and they said to me, oh, we're so jealous you come from the UK. The UK is awesome. I'm like, oh, you like the UK? I said, have you ever been? And I started listing places off. I was like, have you been to this gallery? Have you been to this museum? Have you been to this stately home? Have you been to this nature reserve? Have you been to this, like the Lake District or something, national park? And I reeled off all these places that to me symbolize what the UK is: the green and pleasant lands, the royalty, the architecture, the history, the medieval buildings and all this sort of stuff, the Roman stuff. And I listed off all this stuff, and people were just like, no, shopping in London. Everyone was just like, Harrods, shopping centre, Marks and Spencer. That's all they were interested in. Literally everything that I spoke to people in my family, they were just like, oh no, when we go to the UK, we just go to London, we book a hotel, and then we shop for 2 weeks solid, and then come back to Brunei. They never went like anywhere other than shopping. And this just like astounded me. I am getting eaten to death here by horseflies, or some big fly that wants to suck me blood. Anyway, I'm doing it for you guys. And this astounded me because when I go on holiday, like when I went to, Russia, and I went to Moscow, or when I go to Italy and Rome, I don't go to the shopping centres. I go to the historical monuments. I go to the museums. I go to the architectural places and the cultural places. Because for me, that's what a country is. A country is not a shopping centre, unless you're talking about Dubai, in which case it is. There's nothing but shopping centre in Dubai. So, yeah, it always astounds me. So the problem is that mentality is here. And people kind of like I say, they don't explore. They're not really interested in stuff like this, okay? Mausoleums and monuments and things. And as a result, they never go down back roads. And because they never go down back roads, the government here has just, and private owners as well, have just been blocking off back roads everywhere. So you'll go down a back road, you'll look on Google Maps and you go, oh, this looks like a really nice way to get through, right? Or this looks like a really nice road in the countryside or whatever, or in the back of, some back streets. And I'm going to keep moving, but slowly, because more very slippery steps. So you find these back roads, you go down them, and then there's just a gate. Like today, I was behind His Majesty's house, his palace, basically. It's called Istana. Very famous if you're in Brunei. If you don't know it, look it up, Google it. And it's his vast, palatial estate, if you like. And I was going down some back roads, and bearing in mind, these are public back roads, 2 public buildings, okay, that the public are allowed into. And I couldn't get through. I went down like 3 different roads, and there was just gates everywhere I went, just closed off, because people are like kind of lazy to maintain things or to monitor things. So they just fence and gate everything off. So it's really frustrating. So this is a really hard job, trying to find new places to go, because everywhere is just dead ends. But what's annoying is, that's not true. Everywhere is really interesting roads blocked by gates that you can't get through. It's so annoying. So anyway, this leads me to today. So today I was trying to find this nice interesting route around the area around Istana, or around the palace. And I was just meeting gates everywhere I went. And I wasn't even trying to get into the grounds of the palace. Obviously not. That's His Majesty's private property. I wouldn't go in there. But even around the area, like even within several roads away from the palace, there's just blocked. Everything's blocked. Now, as part of my route, I was going to come here to this memorial, because I was like, oh, this looks like an interesting place on the map. It's located on Google Maps. There's a photograph of it on Google Maps. It's listed as a building that you can come and visit. So I was like, oh yeah, I'll take my group ride and I'll go by that memorial, and we'll go cycle up to the memorial and have a look. What could be wrong with that? Well, I come here today, and bearing in mind this is a direct family member related to His Majesty, and it's in complete disrepair. Like, look, there's panels missing from the guardrail. And this bridge that I've just come over to get to where I am right now, that is the only way you can get in on foot. The other way in is by boat, which as you can see is pretty in disrepair as well, but at least it's concrete. This bridge is wood. Let me come and show you, right? This bridge is wood. Here it is, wooden bridge. Now, this bit looks safe, doesn't it? It does look safe. But as you get further along here, there are entire sections missing, and it's rotten with fungus and mold and literal big heads of mushrooms sticking up. And I have actually crossed this bridge here on the edge. I held on to this concrete railing and I shuffled along the edge because all these boards here are rotten. And there's no central support. Like, you know, when you usually build a wooden board bridge, or you deck a bridge, you put a central support down the middle so that you aren't spanning the entire section with just one single wooden board. They haven't done that here. They've spanned the entire section, which is, you know, at least 1.5 meters, if not more, with nothing but a wooden board. There's nothing underneath. I'll show you in a minute. We'll look down into the water. And these are falling through, they're rotten. So in order to get here, to see this monument today, I've had to like do an Indiana Jones shuffle all the way across the concrete edge. Thank goodness the concrete is okay, because the concrete over there, as you can see, is the reinforced concrete's falling apart there, so that's no good. I'll just say, look at this beautiful place. Isn't it wonderful? Wish me luck going back across the bridge, because this is nuts. Like, I'll show you in a second. It's nuts. All right, guys, if I don't see you again, if I fall in the river and get eaten by a crocodile, which I hope I don't, there are crocs in here somewhere. If I never see you again, cycle safe. Here we go. This is what I'm talking about. Look, I'm standing on the concrete and making my way across the edge. No central support. I mean, who designed this bridge? That's nuts to span all that length with just a single piece of wood. Yes, okay, it's thick, but this is a tropical country with loads of fungus and stuff. You know, the rainforest here is designed to break down wood. That's what it does, termites and things, right? And they just span the entire length. I've never been anywhere else. I mean, there's this place in Malaysia that I went to, which is a cave network, and in order to get there, you have to cross like a mangrove swamp, and the mangrove swamp is decked. Like, has a railing, wooden railing and wooden decking all the way, but the wooden slats are supported by a central concrete pillar that goes all the way up the middle, which makes sense. But this doesn't make sense at all. Look, there's nothing. And so over here, as you can see, you see all the orange bits on the ground? That is fungus that is eating the wood. And you see the slats up ahead, they've crumbled and they've fallen through. All the side supports are gone. I don't know what happened to those. Maybe somebody nicked them. But all the way to my bike over there, which thankfully is still there. But again, nobody ever comes to this part of Brunei. I think I might be the first person here in years. Yeah, all the wooden supports are rotting and they're falling through into the crocodile infested river. So there you go. This is full on Indiana Jones stuff right now. So I'm going to stand on the bridge. I'm going to wrap up with a couple of thoughts. First thought is, I don't think His Majesty, the current Sultan of Brunei, knows about this, because if he did, I think it would get fixed pretty fast. I think he may be too old now to come to places like this, and so because he doesn't come here anymore, they've just let it go into disrepair, which is a shame. And maybe someone should let him know that this is the condition of one of the, let's say, most important historical monuments in Brunei. I mean, there aren't many in Brunei. I would say this is pretty important, right? This is a direct family member of the royal family. Unless they don't like the guy. I don't know what the family history is. Maybe they don't like him. But I would imagine that that's not true. So yeah, very interesting. I'm thinking, if His Majesty knew about this, I think it would get fixed pretty fast. And then you could cycle all the way to the steps. How nice would that be? You could get off, pay your respects, and cycle home again. Or drive, as the case may be. Yeah, and the second thing is this. This is the big thing. So talking about cycling in general. Cycling is about exploring in a big part for me. I mean, some people, they just get on the bike or they get in the car and they take their bike to the group ride, and they do a fast group ride, you know, with the fellas in their Rafa jerseys and on their $10,000 Specialized S-Works bikes or whatnot, and that's all they do. And for me, yeah, that is a big part of cycling, like professional cycling, but it isn't everything. For me, cycling is about exploring. It's about going places that nobody else has been. Going places that you wouldn't usually go. Getting outside your door and having a look around about what is in your local area. Because it's amazing what you'll find. I mean, in Brunei, like I say, many people don't know about places like this. And this could be right next to their house and they would never even know. So instead of getting in your car with your bike and driving to the group ride, one day, why not take your very expensive road bike and see how capable it is of getting to places like this? Pick a place on the map and go and explore. Because for me, this is a big part of what cycling is about. Cycling, for me, is about freedom. That's why I like uncomplicated, simple bikes that are reliable. Because when you're out in places like this, there's no support, there's no help. You're out on your own, so you need reliable stuff. And a lot of modern carbon bikes are just not reliable. So there you go. Get out there and explore. Get to know the place you live in. Because there are places that you live by your entire life and you'll never even know about. Unless you get on your bike and go. I've certainly enjoyed doing it. I certainly love doing it. And I've certainly enjoyed bringing other people along for the ride and showing them their country. Because it is a pretty and magnificent country when you get down to it. So there you go. So to my Bruneian viewers, I would say, if you want, get yourself a bike if you don't have one already and come and explore. I'm happy to show you around, give you a guided tour. And to the rest of you, wherever you are in the world, yeah, grab your bike, get out and explore. Don't do the boring group ride this week. Don't, bomb up and down the highway like you usually do. Don't do the same old routes. It's time you explored. It's time you got out there and saw something new. All right, folks, thanks for watching as always. Do subscribe if you enjoy the content. Do like if you enjoyed it. Yeah, like, subscribe. What else do they say? Comment. Yes, always comment. Say what you think. This is not a democracy, but I'll allow you to speak. All right, folks. As always, stay safe when riding. Oh man, guys. I just cycled back in monsoon season rain here in Brunei. And I was using this bike here, this steel bike, and it's got rim brakes on it. It's got rim brakes on it. I survived a crocodile infested river over a dangerous Indiana Jones style bridge, only to have to ride home in the wet across some gravel with rim brakes. You know what happened? Well, when I got to traffic lights and junctions, especially on steep downhills, I couldn't stop. Actually, no, that's not true. I could totally stop. But I didn't have enough braking power to completely lock my wheels up instantly with one finger, just like I would have done if I'd have had disc brakes. I couldn't lock my wheels up with one finger. I would have to have used my entire hand to lock my wheels up. It's crazy. I don't know how anyone survives on rim brakes. And not just that. But because it was raining and because I was on rim brakes, I actually died. Yeah, it's true. I died. In fact, do you know, statistically speaking, this is a true fact that I just made up. True fact. Every single person who has ever used rim brakes in history has died. Think about that. Think about that. Think of everyone in history from hundreds of years ago, right? From the very first invention of the rim brake bicycle. All those people are dead. Do you think that's coincidence? No. So what I suggest you do is get at least £7,000 to £10,000 or dollars or euros and go to the Specialized shop or the Trek shop and buy the latest aero disc brake carbon road bike you can. Because if you don't do that, you will probably die. It's true. It's true. I died today because I had rim brakes and I was riding in the wet. I'm surprised I didn't die sooner. You know, I lived most of my life in the UK and I used to ride all year round through winter. And I must have died like 20 times already. It's bizarre how I only died this time riding in the wet. And you know what's really weird is like all the crashes that I had in the UK in winter were because my tires lost grip and I slid out on corners. None of them were because I couldn't stop. Isn't that weird? It was all down to tire grip. You might almost conclude that what's more important than your brake is your tire's grip and the contact that it makes with the road. You might almost suggest that having more powerful brakes on thin road bike tires is less safe because you can't utilize all that braking force. Isn't that weird? That you could out-brake the friction that your tire has with the road. It's probably nothing. Probably nothing to worry about. Buy the disc brakes, guys. Buy the disc brakes. Get the heavier bikes. Get the more difficult bikes to maintain. That's my top tip. Forget rim brakes. Easy maintenance, cheap, you know, tried and tested, preferred by the pros, work fine. Nah, get the heavy disc brakes. Heavy disc brakes.